Celestial objects in video games always seem to be rather threatening. There's the sun in Mario Bros. 3, the moon from Majora's Mask, and then there's both of them in Kirby's Adventure. Seriously, what is with celestial objects in video games always wanting to kill you? And which were surprisingly absent in Mario Galaxy, because I was all panicky to face a giant angry sun that never came. However, unlike the Mario Bros. Sun, or Legend of Zelda's Moon, these two are actual enemies you face off against. The final boss is a butter building. When you fight them, one of them goes into the sunset/dawn sky, and its partner battles on the ground. The sun, Mr. Bright, goes into the sky to turn it into morning, shooting powerful heat rays, while the moon, Mr. Shine, shoots cutting blades or charges at you. The moon goes into the sky to turn it into night and shoots stars at you, while the sun on the ground charges at you. A pretty formidable team when they're working together, and are apparently so popular they got back in another game, Kirby's Dream Land 2, where they have their own nearly brutal eclipse attack. Basically, Mr. Bright scorches the entire land with burning heat, except for one area of it that Mr. Shine illuminates. Again, sun and moon hate everything on land. The two are a formidably tough battle, but the ever-changing scenery of night and day is pretty cool for an NES game to see, and it's not very often you're fighting two of the most well-known and most influential celestial bodies in space. Giant hands. Not many people have tried to even begin to decipher what their purpose is in the universe of Smash Bros. Are they the hands of a god? What kind of god? A grand celestial being battling brave warriors? The hands of a child from reality playing with toys within his imagination? Or even just the hands of a grand sorcerer bent on controlling their worlds? Whatever the case, one is calm and collected, while the other is jerky and maniacally spasming in anticipation, ready to slap you, pummel you, shoot you, clap and punch you dead off the stage. These strange, godlike hands, while not immortal, are certainly a presence that has unconsciously slipped into gamers' minds as a mystery no one will ask. And why should they, since nobody really has a straight answer? Not even Brawl gave much of an explanation on it. We all remember Shadow Link from Ocarina of Time and how much of a pain he was. Back with more skill each time, and even doing that Matrix sword standing thing that really grates your teeth more than the end of the Matrix trilogy. Well, he wasn't the first evil reflection that came around in games. Before him, there came the Mirror Prince. Before the Prince was editing stories he told and pretending he had a bad memory due to you failing to work the time correctly and die many times, he was in a pretty decent side-scrolling puzzle action game of an unnerving time limit and weak legs. Halfway through the game, a mirror blends itself into your own reflection, and the game automatically draws out a sword in battle. But how do you defeat your own reflection? He hits you every time you hit him. He moves and runs the exact same paces as you, and he only dies when you die. And that's not something you want to do in this game. But there is a strategy, albeit I don't know how people figured this out. You have to not fight your own reflection. Put away your sword, and walk into it. Embrace yourself. Yes. And just like that, your reflection just vanishes inside of you like a ghost, but without all that nasty possession and that cold, slimy feeling you get in your liver. While technically a boss battle, it doesn't play out like one. The Sorrow is the ghost that follows around with Big Boss and was a powerful spirit medium and psychic who fell in love with Big Boss. He took his own life for her and has since then floated unfulfilled with her as perhaps a guardian angel. Sylvia Plath wishes to be this sad, and when you face him, Snake is pretty much almost dead, practically beaten to the very inch of his life, and Snake must wade through the river of all the enemies he has killed in the course of the game. The actual numbers of enemies you killed, as well as how they died, are shown in the stage, while all the time avoiding the Sorrow's attacks, a sort of ghostly blast. When you reach the end, you die. Yes, I'm serious, you die. Well, if you paid attention to the game, you'll know what to do, won't you? You're a spy, damn it, think like one. But really, you're wading through a river of the dead chasing a ghost. Not even Fatal Frame gets that freaky, though it does get close. Nights is one of the most innovative and original game ideas out there, about an exiled inhabitant of the Nightmare Worlds who wanted to stop them from taking over dreams and reality. Naturally, a good source to find the freakiest/original boss of the games, one of them being Puffy, a female rabbit thing who bounces like a ball across rooms. You have to grab her rounded, legless underside and slam her through part of the wall, eventually reaching the last part where you shut her into a box. Now, of course, the bosses are rather odd. Among them are Claus, the firework-wielding cat, and Jackal, the card-wielding freak. But really, I can understand those two. Cats are evil, as we all know from Tom and Jerry, and jackals are one of nature's great jokers or jerks. This is a rabbit that bounces, with no legs, like a ball. And, oh yes, let's not forget the opera that plays while you fight it. An operatic bunny that bounces like a rubber ball. Genius, Sega. Children possess a natural creepiness that has been tapped into for thousands of iconic horror movies, fiction thrillers, and everything that the Olsen twins have ever done. Their presence in this groundbreaking first-person shooter, however, makes little Damien's evil ways seem harmless enough to replace Jonathan Lipnicki and Jerry Maguire. They roam the diseased halls of Rapture with the menacing Big Daddy, and when they spot you, they order their drill bit-toting protectors to rip out your guts and feed them back to you. If you harvest their atom, they turn into wiggly little slugs. If you save and release them, they grow up to get their own reality show on MTV. But really, could they tone down the usage of Big Daddies? I've had the shit scared out of me enough times at 2 in the morning to know that the little brats that I feel the need to save could maybe learn some taekwondo instead of lugging that giant piece of evil around. This aptly named boss is the kind of humanoid monster that appears in your most menacing nightmares if you do about an ounce of meth a day and wash it down with a mason jar of mind-erasing absinthe. He's a muscular mass of a man, topped off with a giant metal pyramid on his shoulder where his equally giant noggin should be. He drags around a huge piece of medieval cutlery that looks too dangerous and garish, even for the likes of those late-night home knife shopping networks. But he doesn't even really need it, because he can strangle you with his tongue. He follows you around the area, and if you're not careful, it's off to the Egyptian chopping block for you. Video game bosses have frustrated us, aggravated us, angered us, scared us, and even scarred part of us in ways that only an overly friendly uncle can replicate. None, however, have physically disgusted us as much as this vile creation from the sick minds that created the underground Nintendo 64 classic.
I am the great mighty Pooh, and I'm going to throw my shit at you. A huge supply of tish come from my chocolate starfish. How about some scat, you little twat?
Conker encounters this fiendish fecal foe about midway through his adventure, and if being attacked by an evil pile of poo wasn't enough to shiver your spine out of its socket, he also serenades you with a vile baritone operatic melody about his love of corn and his homemade caviar.
You think I keep this lovely grin? Have some more caviar. I'm really getting rather mad. You're like a niggly, tickly, shitty little tag nut. When I've knocked you out with all my bab, I'm going to take your head and ram it up my butt.
Your butt.
My butt.
Your butt.
That's right, my butt.
Ugh.
My butt. My butt. Look what you've done! I'm blushing! Oh, what a world, what a world! Who would have thought a good little squirrel like you could destroy my beautiful flagginess? Oh, I'm going! Oh,
no! Now that's what I call a bowel movement.
While Earthbound in itself is a very strange game, the main enemy ruling over it all is Moriso. Gygus in the original Earthbound Zero/Mother is an alien being who comes to Earth in revenge against the humans. two of whom in the 1900s betrayed his race and studied their secret PSI powers without permission. While one of them did betray his race, the other did not and raised Gygas like a son, which forced him to separate himself from humanity for 80 years in preparation for the invasion. On the surface, this evil alien is a swarming, repeating vortex of ghostly red faces that looks like the pattern of Satan's bedsheets. But if you look closer, you can also find a very disturbing image that some speculate is the true nature of the beast you are fighting. If you examine the negative space of the red and black contrasting image, you'll see the downright creepy image of a tiny unborn fetus enveloped in an ice cream swirl. Some believe this hidden magic image embedded in the creepy pattern means your character was sent back in time to destroy Gygas when he was still an unborn baby, so technically that means you're fighting a fetus to the death. That epoch of eeriness can only be topped when you face Gygas at the very peak of Mount Itoi, the last stand against the world itself, a strange symbiotic creature in a pod who doesn't even have music in his battle, but rather creepy sci-fi blinking sound. His attacks are inexplicable and incomprehensible to describe, and nothing can harm him, except the power of one special lullaby he remembers when he was young, and one which forces him to remember the love one human showed him. Now, most enemies you defeat by, well, hitting them or something, but this extra-dimensional boss from the first Star Fox game on the SNES was rather odd. It was a boss, a fully optional, secret boss that you only obtained via the hard route to the asteroid field, and bringing forth the presence of some silver bird, and that's not some term for a sexy older lady, I really mean a silver bird. But this boss you couldn't just blast the weak point of, you gambled to beat him. Seriously, the boss is a giant slot machine that you shot the arm of, and the only way to actually beat it is by hitting 3 lucky 7s. This could take 10 seconds or 10 minutes, and it only damages you if you get an Andross face and the slots whereby it will shoot missiles at you. But seriously, how much weirder can it get fighting a giant slot machine in a circusy outer dimension when the Saints Go Marching In plays in the background? While it is a very, very unorthodox enemy, it's still a boss that, for those who found it, will always tell you of the agonizing moment in figuring out a way to destroy it, which is truly nothing but pure luck. Like how you defeat a slot machine in real life. And seriously, why that song other than its childish rhythm? The whole thing is like an LSD trip you gave to your little brother, and if it wasn't for the hilarious experience, would have been tragic and disturbing. Of course, I'm never gonna go to Vegas now until I can purchase some form of laser blaster, or at least bring my NES Sapper.